Topping today's news, the Prime Minister Davis tells world leaders to get real on the fight against climate change. The deal on the sale of the Lucayan resort on Grand Bahama falls through. NEMA making some tough decisions as subtropical Storm Nicole approaches, with airports, schools and public services closing. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs updates on the potential for Bahamian soldiers to join a multinational peacekeeping force to Haiti. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. As the Bahamas braces for a tropical storm very late into the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, Prime Minister Philip Davis is urging world leaders to get real. The Prime Minister, while making a statement at the World Leaders Summit on the United Nations Climate Change Conference, called on leaders to get real with the truth that the goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees is on life support. Arla Sebastian has more on the Prime Minister's comments in this next report.
It was a simple request, let's get real, that came from Prime Minister Philip Davis on Tuesday morning as he briefly addressed leaders at the World Leaders Summit of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP27, in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. As we here at home brace for Tropical Storm Nicole, that is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane as it leaves northern Bahamas, Prime Minister Davis told world leaders that most needed at this COP27 is confronting the radical truth.
Even as I speak, Bahamians are mobilizing to prepare for the impact of yet another powerful storm, a tropical storm, Nicole. So I come here with a simple request. Let's get real. What we need most at this conference is to confront the radical truth. Big, ambitious goals are important, but not if we use aspirations to obscure reality. The goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees is on life support.
Add to that, the hard truth for many to admit is that even the best case scenarios will mean almost unimaginable upheaval and tragedy. Prime Minister Davis contends that it's only going to get worse, and the realities of war, economic winds, the hangover from the COVID-19 pandemic, and competition among world powers cannot be used as justification to confront imminent dangers that climate change poses. He adds that statements made at international conferences without binding commitments or enforcement mechanisms are being used again and again as a way to postpone real action. The Prime Minister reiterated that the world's wealthiest carbon polluters should pay for extensive losses and damages caused by their emissions. And getting real, according to the nation's leader, means understanding that it will be self-interest that drives decision makers.
I'm not here to ask any of you to love the people of my country with the same passion as I do, or even to act on behalf of future generations in your own country. I'm asking, what is it worth to you to prevent millions of climate refugees from turning into tens of millions, and then hundreds of millions, putting pressure on borders and security and political systems across the world? I'm not telling you to overhaul the World Bank for this new climate era because it is the right thing to do. I'm telling you to get smart and act quickly to address the systemic risk of climate change. Multilateral banks must play a crucial role in scaling up financing options that will provide real solutions. I'm not here to tell the private sector to give up caring about profits. I'm here to say that in a world of profound instability, your profits are very much in danger. So we need to work together to transition the world to clean energy. Let's get real about what's coming. Let's get real about what we need to do next.
As for what part the Bahamas is playing, Prime Minister Davis outlined steps the country is taking in moving forward on climate action goals. As he says, Bahamians will fight for survival. Now, even in urging the world to act, the government has not waited, as they have passed innovative new legislation to deal with blue carbon, creating a regulatory framework for dealing and trading carbon credits. This past Sunday, the International Monetary Fund, through its managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, agreed in principle to partner with the Bahamas to determine how carbon credits can be used productively as a new asset class.
Yes. This is what real, life-changing action looks like. We in the Bahamas are not sitting still. We will not flinch from confronting the hard truths. We will continue to offer our leadership, and we will continue our drive for innovation and ingenuity. Whoever you are, wherever you are, bring your climate solutions to the Bahamas. Help us convert our frontline vulnerabilities into cutting-edge solutions for all. Because we refuse to lose hope. We will not give up. We have no other choice. The alternative compels us to present ourselves at your borders as refugees. The alternative consigns us to a watery grave. The alternative will erase us from history. This is why we fight.
For JCN News, I'm Lissy Bastian.
Thanks, Lissy. Despite having a good deal with Electra America Hospitality Group, who were set to purchase the Grand Bahama Resort for $100 million, it was revealed on Monday by Chairman of the Board of Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited, Julian Russell, that the deal has fallen through. Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, speaking with reporters at the cabinet briefing this morning, explains the reasoning for Electra America pulling out of the deal.
The art of making a deal is knowing when to move on. Electra indicated to us that due to changing circumstances in the marketplace, which we all are aware of, increasing cost of debt and financing, mainly by the increase in interest rates in the global markets, the increased cost of construction, the threat of a recession, the reality of the marketplace is where they found themselves in the intervening period. We announced that we did have an agreement for sale, which was subject to due diligence, subject to agreeing the heads of agreement. In that intervening period, Electra has advised that things changed, and we simply can't continue to wait, and therefore we took the decision to move on.
Mr. Cooper reassures that there are incredible interest from potential buyers for the Grand Lucayan, with government already engaged with potential suitors. The acting Prime Minister says when a new deal is in line, there will be an announcement when there is something definitive to tell. Mr. Cooper further explains that the sale of the resort is a complex deal in a complex environment. However, he is assuring Bahamians that the government will be able to conclude a deal on the hotel.
We've made significant progress in the island of Grand Bahama. We still have 140 people employed. The hotel remains open. We're working on putting heads in beds. We are consistently increasing the airlift through Bahamas Air, American Airlines, and Sunwing. We have consistently more flights coming from Florida, from Charlotte, from Raleigh, North Carolina, from Montreal and Toronto. And the objective is to make the hotel work. We are the owners of the resort. We have Bahamas Air as a partner. We have the other airlines as a partner. We have the Ministry of Tourism. We're working on marketing machinery to ensure that the word gets out that Grand Bahama is open for business and the resort is open for business.
When asked about the new buyer, Minister Cooper did not expose many details except to mention that preliminary due diligence has been conducted on the new buyer, who he described as having deep pockets and experience in the hospitality sector. Director of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Captain Stephen Russell, announced that all shelters in the areas affected by Tropical Storm Nicole would be open as of Monday, today. 16 shelters are currently on Grand Bahama and a total of 12 spread across Abaco. Emergency services were also set to begin evacuations on Grand Key and Sweetings Key, as well as other affected keys northeast of the mainland of Grand Bahama. The storm was initially expected to become a Category 1 hurricane as it moved across Grand Bahama, but Chief Meteorologist Jeffrey Green says that forecast has changed.
In fact, earlier today, the storm was projected to be a hurricane as it crossed the Grand Bahama area. However, the further update, that system will now be out of the Bahamas when it becomes a hurricane near the West Palm Beach area of Florida. The islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama will have stronger tropical storm force winds of around 58 miles per hour to around 73 miles per hour. So they have stronger winds there, but all of the islands will get tropical storm force winds of over 38 miles per hour.
He says residents on Abaco and Grand Bahama should expect tropical storm winds late tonight around 11 p.m. Bimini and the Berry Islands should start experiencing worsened weather conditions Wednesday morning beginning after midnight, and New Providence beginning around 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Now, in terms of unregulated homes, Executive Chairman of the Disaster Reconstruction Authority, or DRA, Alex Storr, says they have been contacting people living in domes and RVs in the affected areas, and that the Royal Bahamas Defense Force has been on the ground on Grand Bahama, on Abaco, and in Bimini since Monday to assist as necessary.
We strongly advise against anybody staying in those domes and RVs during the passage of the storm. And as a matter of fact, our teams went into one of the RV sites today and, after speaking with residents, encountered some resistance on persons that did not want to move. I will say this, especially those in Abaco that are in the RVs, you know what a hurricane can do. You have seen the effects. You are living in the RVs because of what the last hurricane pass did. You do not want to face, even though it's a Category 1, you do not want to face a hurricane in what is basically a tin can. And I'll put it bluntly like that. I think that Captain Russell spoke earlier today about a next of kin form for you to fill out. Do not take that lightly. If there's a direct impact of a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane with 45 plus mile per hour winds, you do not want to be in either the domes or in the RVs.
Director of the Family Island Department at the Airport Authority, Nico Davis, also announcing that multiple airports across the Family Islands will be closed in order to safeguard staff and passengers during the Nicole's passage.
We have decided to take the necessary measures to close the following airports effective Tuesday, November 8, 2022 at sunset. Grand Bahama International Airport, Linden Pinland International Airport, Leonard Thompson International Airport, Morris Island Airport, Sandy Point Airport, Treasure Key Airport, South Bimini International Airport, Great Harbor Key International Airport, Governor's Harbor International Airport, North Eleuthera, Rock Sound International Airport, and San Andres. These airports will remain closed until the 10th of November 2022, or subject to the all clear by the Bahamas Meteorological Department.
If and when the all clear is given and an assessment team deemed that everything is in order, the Family Island airports will reopen by 1 p.m. on Thursday. Meanwhile, Nassau Airport Development Company, or NAD, has reversed its decision to suspend operations at the Linden Pinling International Airport, or LPIA, on Wednesday. Vice President of Marketing and Commercial Development, Jan Knowles, in a statement today said NAD has advised that the latest information from Bahamas Department of Meteorology shows that Tropical Storm Nicole has shifted northward and away from New Providence. As such, LPIA will continue operations on Wednesday should there be no significant change in the current path of the storm. Ms. Knowles further said LPIA and its stakeholders continue to be advised by the Met Office and will provide continued updates on the airport operations. Now, while the airport operated today, travelers were advised that the airline schedules may have varied. NAD or NAD officials say they will continue to provide further details. In the meantime, those traveling are asked to visit LPIA's webpage and social media channels for the latest information on airport operations. The traveling public is also encouraged to contact your respective airlines for flight updates. Also, in relation to subtropical Storm Nicole, the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training has announced that all schools on the islands of Abaco, Grand Bahama, and the Berry Islands would be closed. They were set to begin today until the all clear is given by the Department of Meteorology. In a statement, education officials say, based on the advice of the Department of Meteorology, Grand Bahama, Abaco, and the Berry Islands were projected to experience strong wind and heavy rainfall. Further, in a statement on Monday evening, on the advice of NEMA, the ministry announced that schools in New Providence, Eleuthera, and Andros were also to be closed at 12 noon today, along with all government offices on those islands until the all clear is given. And finally, in this segment, Acting Prime Minister Chester Cooper advising residents in the areas affected by Tropical Storm Nicole to take heed to the warnings given by the Department of Meteorology. Mr. Cooper spoke Monday evening during a briefing at the National Emergency Management Agency headquarters on Gladstone Road.
Nicole is expected to come when seas are already at a high tide, increasing the chance of flooding. We are strongly urging everyone in low-lying areas, particularly in East and West Grand Bahama and Abaco, to move further inland. We are asking everyone living in domes, trailers, and structures on Abaco and Grand Bahama in particular that are not up to code to make immediate plans to evacuate, to move to a hurricane shelter or another safe place. I assure you that all agencies of government under the command of NEMA are engaged and mobilized throughout the country.
The acting prime minister asserts that police, defense force officers, and emergency personnel will provide evacuation services before the storm arrives, but will not return once that period has ended. As for the closure of seaports and airports, Minister Cooper says they will close when winds reach 40 knots and above, which is expected to be on Wednesday evening. He urges residents to pay close attention to updates and offers these words of encouragement.
We all stand ready to provide the support and resources to help keep everyone safe. I also want to urge everyone to pay attention to official media sources for the latest updates. One of the things I love most about the Bahamian people is our resilience. We have faced many storms, and we have been battered many times, but we have never been broken. With preparation, diligence, attention, and God's grace, we will face this together and come through safely. May God continue to bless you, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.